Well, welcome to another edition of Bolton In, all thanks to Palmerbet, and what a wonderful weekend of Group 1 racing it was last weekend in Sydney. As I say, a very good morning and afternoon to Shane Anderson and Adam McGrath. How are you, boys?
Good to be with you, Matty and Adam. Certainly amazing weekend of racing last weekend. We've got a lot to talk about that, but I'm super excited by what's in store for this weekend because I think there's some pretty good bets on the card, particularly at Randwick.
Yeah, agree with Shano there. I thought very good racing last week. Amazing that it occurred with all of the rain that we had. And then this weekend we see some quality horses going to get against each other, but also I just think some really open races. I think two of the four, you could pick anything at even, $15, $20 and you wouldn't be crazy. So certainly looking forward to hopefully some value this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And can we just commend the track staff, everyone, to get that track up and racing last weekend? Phenomenal performance. I must admit, I thought it was 1,000,000 to 1. The rain and the vision, Peter Moody's vision, which went viral, waking up to Saturday morning thinking there's no possible way they're going to run this race meeting. But full credit to them. And that track, unbelievable. And it actually raced sensationally well, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I've been there I think 2 of the last 3 years, and it's been canoe weather every time. And 2 years ago, they had the helicopter out there drying the straight before we were going live about an hour later. And I get it. I've worked in Perth, worked in Melbourne, worked in Adelaide, and then done a bit in Sydney. I am gobsmacked how they run with the amount of rain they have. I've never seen it rain anywhere else like that around the country, and it seems to always be this championship weekend, and they always seem to get it done. So it is an amazing, credit to the staff there, credit to the track and the surface itself. It holds up so well. But yeah, it's an amazing feat to be able to handle that weather and go again.
A couple of points on that, Adam, and I remember back when I was a kid growing up in Sydney, my formative years, and my dad taking me out to, I think it was the 1987 Sydney Cup, and I've never seen rain quite like it. And it's almost like ever since that day, it's stuck in my mind. It's always like wet in the autumn in Sydney, and pretty much every year you get that consistent deluge that hits Randwick. So, I mean, from where they're positioned in the calendar, they're stuck with it unless they want to make a shift. Now, I was pretty critical about the decision by Racing New South Wales stewards and the ATC to go ahead with the meeting. And to be honest, my view of it hasn't changed that much. Very gutsy decision, all credit to them, and the track raced as well as you possibly can. I think we've got a problem, though, where the meeting, as you said, Matty, it's billed as the championships. It's supposed to be the pinnacle of racing, almost like to conclude the Sydney-Melbourne scenario of the year. When you're running on bog tracks and when you're starting with a track rated heavy 10 and you've had that deluge and Peter Moody sharing the vision that he had from Randwick and some of the other big name trainers, you look at it and you think, how the hell am I going to bet with confidence at this meeting? Now, to your point, all credit to the track managers and the staff. They got the track to play the best it possibly could. I just think there's a problem, though, with some of these big marquee meetings that are not only about turnover, but they're about selling the sport. When you're starting in bog tracks, I'm not sure it's the best outcome for anyone. So I still am of the opinion, and probably for those who want to throw rocks at me, have a crack, I don't care. I still think it probably would have been a better decision to hold off a little bit or reschedule the meeting rather than starting in that. But all credit to them. They got through it, the track race as well as it possibly could. But it dampened my enthusiasm from a punter's perspective for what was on offer.
You better have a good rock to be able to get you in Copenhagen, Shane. Just on that though, quickly. Because
I do duck and weave there, Adam.
As I said, obviously being there the last couple of years, I've heard those internal discussions, and their big thing is that the amount of marquees they've got, the amount of people flying in from actually all over the world with people racing, horses coming in from America, some of the other international horses, they really wanted to go ahead. So I get that part. My point with that is, Shane, would you just change the weekend? I mean, it has been like this every single week of the championships, and April, it just gets drenched in Sydney. Like, do they need to move it, or is this just part of it?
No, I think they do. And I'm happy to have the rocks thrown at me. I've been talking about this for almost as long as I've been in the broadcasting game. Yep. I think the whole structure of Australian racing, which was designed 150, 160 years ago, is not actually the right structure that we have in place. In my personal view, particularly for the states of Victoria and New South Wales, I think the majority of our feature races should be run between October and March, not stretching any further. Yep. So even, starting Group 1 races in September or potentially August, as has been done previously, and running them through into April, I see if the peak weather periods for good weather to produce good tracks are in those periods of time that are predominantly over summer. It's almost like taking a European model, where the majority of the feature flat races are run over that 5 to 6 month period where you know that the weather's going to be good.
Yep.
I think there's an opportunity for that sort of discussion to have. Probably not in the current climate because, with the New South Wales Victoria wars and the impacts to other states, it's not probably the right time. But the reality is, I've been saying it for years, I think the structure and the program of racing is actually wrong. It doesn't suit how we can actually get the best tracks possible for a lot of our major plays. Now, it's different in Queensland because of the slightly, the tropical weather patterns that Queensland have. It's probably different again for Western Australia. There's a bit more scope for things that could happen there. But, I'd love to see a grown-up discussion with racing authorities about what they could do to get a program that actually guarantees better racing, better structure, doesn't clash necessarily with other big sports and so on.
Yeah, get them in the same room together. I reckon that'd be a really good starting point. And in this day and age, surely it's not that hard to get the big boys together and sit down and have a yak and even over a beer or a coffee or whatever. You might even a little grey goose or something maybe might be on the card. Hey, listen, let's recap last weekend's winner, Doncaster Celestial Legend. Great story. Magic scenes after the race. A huge win, too, for mine. I'll start with you, Shane. This horse, you kind of have to go and watch the replay a couple of times because you're thinking, they're going to run a nice race, but just launch late.
Proper star. How good's Les Bridge, mid-80s, still trading Group 1 winners, 39 years since he had his first Doncaster winner with Row of Waves at 150 to 1. He now comes out with Celestial Legend. He's a master trainer. What a ride. Tyler Schiller, outstanding. The depth of talent, I think, in that 3-year-old division is really strong. So I'm super happy that Celestial Legend won for the narrative, for want a better term. I was committed to Pericles. He ran enormously well in running second. Militarize, I think he's run really well third. You go back through the field, there was actually a lot of good runs in the race. But I think, to sell the race, to tell a great story, I think we actually had the right winner because there's so much more to come from Celestial Legend. He probably snuck in under the handicap with only 49 kilos. He was outstanding. As much as I was on the runner-up, I can't be too disappointed with the way that the race unfolded and the story that came from it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Ads, want to add anything else there to the Doncaster, mate? Your thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, probably just the only comment was, again, I had Shane's voice. It scares me how much I get his voice in my head this time of year. But Celestial Legend, I remember when it sort of won a couple of races back, I sort of questioned that form and the handicapping out of it. And Shane actually said, no, this horse has come back. This is a serious animal now. We need to take note. And I'll jump on board now. Doncaster will do that. But, yeah, we saw again the lightweight was definitely the key advantage in that event.
Hey, let's move along to the Australian Derby. Riff Rocket, I think, silenced a lot of the critics. There was a few knocks on, a few people wanting to pick holes in, but I think we can put them to bed now. Ads, don't you reckon?
Yeah, look, it was disappointing that Zardozi was scratched. I was looking forward to that head-to-head battle, and I still would have loved to have seen it. But the moment she came out, I thought, you've got to go with Riff Rocket again. You know that he's just proven he's honest. You know that he's going to find the line, and it was a really good performance. Well, Theo Wolf was really good again as well. We mentioned it was a grand final for them. So I think this race more went to plan. It looked like, that Riff Rocket was the one to beat, and, it was probably a value runner there as well. So really good performance, and this horse is flying.
Shano?
Yeah, he's a very, very good horse, Riff Rocket. I want to give a shout out, as I touched on just a little bit earlier. I think that 3-year-old form line through the 2 Guineas races has proven to be very, very good. I mean, the winner of the Australian Guineas was scratched for the Doncaster. I think we're going to see in the All-Age Stakes in a couple of weeks. I've forgotten his name. Southern
Tycoon.
Southern Tycoon. Thank you. Southport Tycoon. Sorry, forgive me. But you look at V8's come out and won a George Ryder. Riff Rockets come out and won a Roseville Guineas and Derby. We're going to see the other 3 Races. Militarizers run well again in the George Ryder and the Doncaster. Like, there's a bit of depth of talent in that division. But I thought he was very good, the right winner, and rare record now. I mean, Riff Rocket, he's the first since Dulcify to win a VRC Derby, Roseville Guineas, ATC Derby. I mean, that's an amazing achievement. All credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Waller's got the horse absolutely humming. Manal, very good in the English size. Ads, you're all over second place Traffic Warden. But just, I suppose, a workmanlike, really good, impressive victory.
Yeah, it was the one, again, when we looked at this and Manal was the value and Traffic was the best. And I just mentioned that they looked like the horses that wanted the 1400. It was a bit like that conversation we had the week before with Mr. Brightside and Pride of Jenny. Like, I still think Storm Boy is the best horse, but this race was going to set up for those two. And again, they got back, they ran on nicely. Manal looks to be a really good horse. Traffic Water, no admirers. I know you were sort of with Coleman, Matty, and I was a bit tentative on it, and I wasn't loving the run from the previous race as well. I thought it was huge. Matt Laurie's done a tremendous job with this horse as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing where Coleman goes next as well, maybe when it heads back to Victoria. But first four across the line, I thought were really impressive.
Shona?
Funny game racing. 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, Storm Boys talked up as a $60 million colt. He has now been run admirably. It's not like he's underperformed in either the Golden Slipper or the Sires, but no one's talking about him being a $60 million colt anymore. It's the amazing thing of the racing game, the breeding game, bit of smoke and mirrors that goes on with the valuation of a lot of these colts. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to, do they win the races that matter? And historically, it's the Group 1 races that matter. He's still a very good colt, but the gloss has come off him, I think, a fair way. But Adam, I think from memory, you gave a good push for Manal as well in your coverage last week. I mean, very, very good performance. Just tradesman-like, getting better probably with each and every start. And I think Michael Freeman said, looking forward to the 3-year-old season and what we'll be able to be produced through that campaign. So it's certainly one to keep an eye on.
What about Chain of Lightning and the TJ Smith Stakes? Of course, all over this horse 2 weeks ago, boys. And do you think that old Matty boy puts it in the quaddie? No, he doesn't. Very, very shattering, I can assure you, boys. But good win, training performance too.
The worst thing about that, Matty, is you are ridiculously loyal, not only with your mates, but certainly with the horses that you rally around. So to not even throw it into your quaddie.
I think I had about 10 runners in the first leg too, boys, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, I will say, look, there's a race that the weather and the track probably impacted dramatically. Because I think, and there was a lot of other issues happening around that. I mean, Imperatriz was playing up before the barrier. She was, I think, from memory, Opie Boston was out of the saddle to get her loaded. She was sweating up. She was kind of on toes. There was a bit of a delay around. Chain of Lightning's done a really good job. Go forward, control the race, kick when it matters and wins. But, I mean, I thought I Wish I Win ran really well to finish third. Probably on track for whatever Moody and Coleman decide to go with, whether I think they were preferencing Queensland over maybe the Goodwood in South Australia in recent reports. But, yeah, I mean, upset result in that race, but well done to Peter Moody and Catherine Coleman, and for Catherine in particular, her first Group 1.
Ads?
Yeah, look, again, really good win, and Matty filthy on this one as well. But I just love the race as a whole. I mean, you look at the top 7, 1.1 lengths between them. So you got the best of Chain of Lightning, you got the best of Bella Nipotina. I Wish I Win. It was interesting to hear J-Max say that he thought it was a little bit underdone, but Imperatriz were the best. Sunshine in Paris's return, and Espiona raced well again. So you got a really good Group 1 race there. And look, the grey and the wet, sometimes just a proven formula.
Absolutely, it is. Hey, let's have a look at the 4 Group 1s this weekend at Randwick. Queen Elizabeth Stakes is the first of them we're going to have a look at. And the market, all thanks to Palmerbet, has Via Sestina as our Palmerbet favourite at $2.30. Pride of Jenny at $4.40. Cascadian at $9. Mr. Brightside, $9.50. Place to Carousel at $13. Kovalika at $17. A Tissue at $18. And Chia Wolf at $19. I'll start with you, Adam McGrath. This is a cracking edition, isn't it? This is going to be an absolute ripping race for mine.
Yeah, it's a really good event, and a few horses that we've all been really liking coming together here. Obviously, I was with Via Sestina the other week, and I thought wherever it goes, I'm going to be backing it again. And then we know my love affair with Cascadian, so it was sort of a juggling affair there. And I certainly spent a lot of time on this race. I've gone with Cascadian again. I mean, the old boy just hasn't let me down, and I'm not going to jump off him with the form that he's in. Third in the All-Star Mile, winning the Australian Cup again. He's 1 from 1 at the track and distance here. The more when I analyse this again, knowing that the speed's going to be on and it's going to work, just the confidence that Benny Mellon will have in this horse now from that last run, that is the difference that I'm sort of going with. So, look, I'll stay with the old fella. You just know what you're going to get. My value bet, and I think this is ridiculous. Maybe I'm going early here. I'm just reading it wrong. I think Kovalika is so over the odds, it's ridiculous, and more just for some different reasons. So, the last time we go back to May last year, this horse won the Queensland Derby. Since then, the horse hasn't gone further than a mile. It's raced between 1,300 and 1,600 for the last 7 starts. Now, if you look at this horse prior to that, 2,000 metres plus, it's had 4 runs. It's won 3 of them and come third in the other. That's in 2 Group 1s and 1 Group 3. So this horse is a serious stayer, but hasn't been staying. He just keeps running out of distance over a mile. You then go to the barriers. The last 5 it's done from 10, 18, an outlier of 4, then 14 and 14, and now it draws 6 again. So I just think it's a race that finally got a distance it wants. It's got a draw it wants. It gets a speed it wants, and you're getting a very, very nice each-way price. So I think we might see the old Kovalica that we saw couldn't be getting beat in Queensland last year maybe show up here.
Good push there, Shano. What are your thoughts, mate? I'm leaning towards, I think you might be in the Via Sistina corner here. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I am. I just want to give Adam a shout out there for his analysis of Kovalica. Really great assessment, I think, of what we can perhaps expect an improved performance there, because like you said, he's probably been in races that haven't really been to his advantage. Look, the way I've looked at this, Matty, I think the 2 European mares, Via Sistina and Plastic Carousel, are just simply better than their rivals. Now,
yep.
I put the caveat on, I didn't tip either of them in the Randwick because I've got the long-standing theory of mares in particular when they're travelling from hemisphere to hemisphere.
Need a run or two.
It doesn't always. Yeah, I want to see them first before, particularly when they're short in the market, before I'm tempted to bet, because quite often they go backwards. Like more often than not, they go backwards. These two didn't. Via Sistina was simply outstanding. She was dominant in the Randwick, I thought. Soft win. She's going to be well and truly suited by the track with gears. She's going to be well and truly suited, I think, by the strong tempo that will naturally come with Pride of Getting in the race. Her closing sectionals were brilliant first up. She won easily. She's proven on soft ground. She's clearly the one to beat. So I've got Via Sistina as the best. And the value bet, I can't believe the price of Plastic Carousel. She's currently, what, $13?
$13. Yeah.
Mate, I think that's massive overs. I thought she was going to be single figures. I thought she was very good behind Via Sistina. Soft ground suits her ideally. The strongly run tempo, because she's proven up to a mile and a half. She won a really good race over a mile and a half at Longchamp, a lead up to the arc of which she ran and finished midfield. I think she's really dangerous. I think she's going to be the one that there will be money for. And as I said, she was very good in that first up run. I can't believe she's that price. So my best is Via Sistina. My value bet is Plastic Carousel. I'm happy to avoid the other runners, and hopefully it's going to be a fantastic race, run at a really strong tempo where the best comes out on top.
The European Quinella from Shane Anderson. I love it. I'm with Via Sistina too. Could not have been any more impressive first up, and I reckon going to benefit from that run. I've gone with a tissue as a value, thinking that they're going to go this way. I don't know. I think the 2000 is a better way to go instead of dropping back to the 1600 and the Queen of the Turf. But that's another one that's dual accepted. So we're not going to know. But I just thought I thought it peaked in its run last start, and I just thought maybe might have needed it, and will be better for the run too.
Interesting that they've named the jockey for the mile, but not the 2000. That was I went okay, because I'd be going to 2000 as well.
Yeah, so maybe they are going to go the other way, but yeah, and which made it really difficult because, then I should be realistically tipping a tissue on top in the Queen of the Turf, but I haven't got in the selections, which we'll get to soon. So that's the great game that we've resided at the moment. Righto, let's move along now to the Queen of the Turf over the 1600 metres. And the Palmerbet market has Zugotcha as our $2.90 favourite. A tissue at $5.50. Tropical Squall at $6.50. Alantia at $9. Samana at $10. Ruthless Dame at $14. Macarena at $15. And Campanessa at $23. Shane Anderson, we're going to start with you, mate. Which way are you leaning here? Because I reckon this is a ripping little race as well, buddy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's a really fantastic lineup of mares. My gut feel was I actually was thinking a tissue may have been going to the Queen of the Turf for one reason. Waller loves the Randwick mile horses coming off a strong 2,000 metre back to 1,600 metres. Right. And I was thinking he might be doing that with her. I had this race down. I think there's 4 winning chances. Zugotcha, a tissue, Tropical Squall, and Campanessa. I'm siding with Zugotcha. Nothing wrong with the way she's come back. She's been, I think, quite outstanding to win the Group 1, the Coolmore at Rosehill last start. I thought under the big weight was quite outstanding. The margin wasn't great, but there was authority about it. She's just progressing supremely well. She's drawn to get every conceivable hope in the run. I think $2.90 is around the right price for her, and I'm happy to be with her. So I've got Zugotcha as my best. And I've put my value bet after umming and ahhing. I think the price on Campionessa is huge, so I'm putting her in as the value bet. High class Kiwi mare. First up run in Australia, she won the Peter Young. She then went to the Valley, where she was just basically, out bobbed a little bit in that big mares race. I think getting to Randwick, touch of given the ground, I think it's going to suit her. And I thought she was actually going to be closer around sort of $10, $11 in the market, and she's $23. So for that reason, I've really been swayed. I think she's just been missed. So Zugotcha my best, Campionessa my value bet. But I think this is actually one of the best races of the day, one of the best races of the autumn.
Love it. What about you, Ads?
Yeah, look, I think Zugotcha deserves to be the favourite. I think it's the horse to beat, but I sort of mentioned when I tipped it last time that it's not a horse of mine, and I probably wanted closer to $4 in this race because, look, Zugotcha's drawn well again here to get the favours, but has been getting the favours despite, I think, being in its best career form we've seen so far. And for that, I just decided to go a little bit of value, and I've gone with number 16, Macarena. Second is Zardozi in the far lap, and if Zardozi had a beat Riff Rocket on the weekend if they raced, then all of a sudden this form looks really, really good. So I've sort of gone that way. Probably should have won the Emancipation. It's one of the sickest watches you'll watch if you go back and watch that replay from last time. I'm also doing that. I think the track's going to get to a good 4 soft 5. It's a soft 7 at the moment. There's sun for the rest of the week, and I think that suits this horse better again. So I'm happy to go with Macarena. It's a very nice price for the best bet in it. And then I'm actually with Shane. I've got Campionessa as my value bet. Really good win in New Zealand, 5 starts back. Brilliant win in the Peter Young, and the Vow and Declare form looks a lot better now as well. The old boy's going really well. And then in the recent run of the Sunline at the Valley, gets squished up in between all runners, then gets to the outside and flashes home. And it was a day you couldn't make up ground at all. So I was with Shane. I was expecting sort of $8 to $11 maybe. And when I saw the overs, I had a quick little bet and then wrote my summation.
Yeah, love it. I'm going a little bit of value here. I've gone with Alentia, another one of the Chris Waller runners, at a bit of a price. This horse blew him away last start, to be honest. I put a margin on them, and I just think might be a horse that's on the up and got a bit of improvement in. And Samana was the other one from the Kiramar team. It's coming through the Zugotcha form line. I thought a touch unlucky behind Zugotcha last start. So I'm playing around both those two horses, best bet and value bet in the Queen of the Turf, which I reckon you're right, boys, is going to be an absolute ripping contest. Let's move along to the Australian Oaks now, over the 2,400 metres. And this is where we see that New Zealand superstar filly in Orchestral, who is our Palmer bet favourite at $1.40. Zardozi, $4.80. Autumn Angel on the back up at $9. To Vita at $12. Quintessa, $15. Basilina at $34. Dance with Hooves at 200 to 1. And Piplup at $251. Adam McGraw, I'll come back and start with you, mate. The New Zealand superstar, she get the job done here or what, mate?
Yeah, look, she does. I'm going to be boring and go with my same best bet and value bet as I did in the Vinery. They ran 1-2, and I think they'll be 1-2 again in this race. So Orchestral is the best bet here, looking for 6 in a row. Look, the horse was just so dominant in the New Zealand Derby over the 2,400 metres back on March 2. The Vinery debut was sensational. Extra 400 metres, this horse is only going to get better. And barrier 3 with J-Mac, I won't be putting any money on it, but I think it'll be winning the race. And To Levita will be the value again, as I said, for the same reason, second in the Vinery. I think this horse is a better chaser too. I thought it found the front a little bit too early because of lack of speed. And I think there's a couple in this race that will just change the formation. To Levita will be able to take a sit and then work to the line strongly. So I think it can give another good showing again at a big price.
Beautiful, mate. Shano, what about you, buddy?
Only interested in 2 horses. I think Orchestral is clearly the one to beat, $1.40 based on her record. Excuse me, as much as it is short, is the right price. She's won a New Zealand Derby. She's won a Vinery. She was authoritative with her win in the Vinery, although the margin wasn't great. She picked up. She fought. There's so much to like about her. I mean, she ticks every box. She's got acceleration. She's got staying ability. She's got tactical versatility. She's just an absolute star. She is short, worthy to be short. I think she's the winner. So Orchestral, my best. I think the value bet in the race is Quintessa. And I think $15 is massive overs for her. A couple of reasons. One, she's clearly very good. She's already a Group 1 winner in New Zealand of the 11 Classic. But from a form line perspective, first up in Australia, she's run 4th in the Australian Guineas, finishing alongside Riff Rocket and V8, basically. They've come out and won multiple Group 1s since. She went to the Valley in the Alistair Clark. She's been out bobbed in a race against the boys. I think her form lines are very, very strong. I think she'll stay. That is possibly the one question mark. Will she run a strong 2,400 metres? I'm hoping she will. I think she will. And at $15, I think she's a fantastic each way bet if you want to avoid backing the favourite. So there, that's all I'm keen on. Kestrel, my best. The value bet, Quintessa.
Going to be boring. I'm going with Orchestral as well. Yeah, look, and I think you just got to sit back and admire. And I'd love to see her continue the picket fence, doing such a wonderful job. J Mac in the saddle. He's an absolute ripper. And I've gone a little bit of Victorian value. The 6 Basilina. Is a little blowout chance. I reckon this horse is going to absolutely thrive out to the 2,400 metres. Amber Lee and David Brown, of course, and I know they have got a bit of an opinion. Blake Shin riding in really good form at the moment as well. So I just reckon this horse might be the one that it'll be running on, and I certainly reckon that about $3.70 or $4 a place. Nice little bet to have each way in the Australian Oaks on Saturday. Righto, Sydney Cup. Last race, I must admit, boys, and I don't want to be not, but I was a little bit disappointed in the field for the Sydney Cup, and I'll be keen to get your thoughts as well. But the market, all thanks to Palmer Bet, Circle of Fire is our favourite at $4.80, Ash Run at $6.50, Colour at $9, Serpentine at $9, at the basket at $10, Military Mission at $13, Man's Voice at $13, and Glentanius at $13. What's your thoughts on the Australian Cup, Shano?
Horrible race. Running for what?
Sorry, Australian Cup, Sydney Cup, I should say.
Sydney Cup, but this is a horrible race. You're running for $2 million. This is a field that
I know.
If there was a 200,000 open handicap on a Saturday, you'd say that's the standard.
What's happened to it? What's happened to it?
Well, no, I think again, we've just got the programming of racing in Australia is up the creek, and it really needs a reassessment. And while you've got these wars going on between principal racing authorities, we're never going to get any balance. I think this is a race, like a lot of the staying races in Australia, they keep getting a lot of money thrown at them, but they're not getting the outcomes the way that you would hope. Now, all credit to Connections having a crack. They're chasing big prize money and they're worthy of it. But this is just, it's not a Group 1 race in any way, shape or form when you look at it. As I said, this to me is an open handicap race that you could run for 200,000. You'd say this is a high quality field for that. For a Sydney Cup, please. We've got programming problems in Australia, and this is a glaring example of it.
Which way you go, mate?
Well, I'm settling on proven weight for age form. Calipour won the Tancred Stakes last start. All credit to him. He's dropping 5 kilos in weight. It'd be rare to see a Tancred Group 1 weight for age winner getting only 54 kilos in the Sydney Cup. It was a tough performance. He's effective in soft going. His only previous run in a race of 2 miles was in the Melbourne Cup, where he was wide, pushed forward, he dropped out. That's to be expected. His overall record in staying races is actually very good, and I think at $9 for a last start Group 1 winner of a weight for age race, getting 54 kilos, I'm happy to be with Calipour. So in a race of where I'm doubting the quality, he's the one that probably stands out as my best. Value bet, Glentanius, $13. Now, Jamie Carr taking the ride, and Adam's said numerous times in our coverage about how good she is, particularly when she's down in the weights in these type of races. For the Freedman camp, I think he's going to love the weight relief. He had a fantastic summer, culminating in a win in the Bagot. He ran well in the Pakenham Cup. We're not really clear at critical stages. It was a pass mark in the Roy Higgins last start, and he draws to get a soft run. So Glentanius at around $13. I think he's been lost in the market a little bit. So he appeals, but I'll put my best as Calipour, my value Glentanius, but good luck if you're having a bet in the Sydney Cup.
Ads, what about your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, look, very similar to Shane. I think when you start getting these 3,200 metre races with the program, it's almost just find a horse that can stay and put it in the race. It's not let's get Group 1 runners together and make a field. It's just who can see out the trip. So my thing was trying to find someone who can see out the trip and has Group 1 form. And I went with Ashran. The last time it was at 3,200 metres. It finished 4th in the Melbourne Cup and ran home from 17th. It was a really good performance. Now, hasn't quite been showing that, but I still think it's potentially the best stayer in the race with Craig Williams in the saddle. Won the Pakenham Cup 2 starts ago, 3rd in the Tancred, and was actually lame, so had some excuses. I think it's just got that proven Group 1 form. My value bet is number 9, Matty. Barrier 5, Mickey D, 53 kilos. Now, last 10 starts hasn't carried under 54. You look at its last 5, it was 5th in the Queen Elizabeth, 4th in the Sandown Classic, 2nd in the Bagot, 3rd in another list event, and 4th in the Adelaide Cup, which is the Trip. So just consistent non-stop. As I said, now drops down to 53. Has actually had 7 runs over the 3,200 metres for 3 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. So it's going to see out the Trip. So I thought a little bit of value there with Mickey D in the saddle.
That's interesting you say. My value is a Matty bet, a Matty here. That's my value bet because that Adelaide Cup run was quite enormous. The saddle broke. Even at the 200, I thought, hang on, this is still a chance here. Poor old Zachy Spain, I think he's still recovering, hence why he's not up there riding on Saturday. Mickey D's got the duties, but you're right, 53 kilos. You know the horse is going to get the 3,200 metres, and honestly, go and have a look at that replay again over in the Adelaide Cup. It was quite phenomenal. That's my value as well, and I've gone a heap of value for the actual winner. My best bet or top selection here is Mostly Cloudy from the Trent Buster and Natalie Young. I've just gone for an up-and-comer. A horse that I think is get back, charge through the line. The further, the better. 51.5 kilos, Rage King in the saddle. And Bustin Young, when they target races and feature races, they tend to have a pretty good record too. So, and don't look at the price with them as well. You just, they can get up at any old price. So, Mostly Cloudy is my on-top selection, and Amade is my value bet there as well in the Sydney Cup. Right, what about around the country, boys? I'll come back to you, Ads. How are we looking over in Perth, mate?
Yeah, not going any value this week, Matty. We're just going to go the best horse, and we'll wait for the ATC Derby. Race 7, number 1, Zip Away. Now, this horse was 3rd in the Autumn Stakes at Caulfield, 3rd in the Alistair Clark at Moonee Valley, and it's now going against some Perth stayers who have probably been the weakest we've seen in a long time. There's not really any fillies coming through, and I'm not too impressed by the boys at all. $3.40 for this horse, who's proven in Melbourne, I think can go back to Perth and dominate.
Love it, mate. Only the one for the nothing else.
That's the one. We're just going to get the win and walk away.
That's it. I like it. Shane, what about you, buddy?
2 I'm interested in. I'll start with Randwick. The Golden Slipper winner, Lady Camelot's running in the big 2-year-old race, the Percy Sykes. I think she's going to be around even money. I think, to be honest, missing the sires last week will probably be advantageous for her. To my eye, she's the best horse in that race, and she wins. So if you're getting even money for a Golden Slipper winner, I'm happy to side in that direction, Lady of Camelot. But I'm quite keen on the Japanese or the imported galloper Nishino Crescent at Morphettville, race number 1 in the Stayers race, trained by Henry Dwyer. Ticking over well. It's not an overly strong race, probably get around $3.60, give or take. But I think if it's going to win a race this campaign, this is probably it. So Morphettville race 1, Nishino Crescent, Randwick race 4, Lady of Camelot.
Going over to Adelaide. This is good. I like it. We're going all around the country. I'm going to stick, my best bet's going to come up. I'm going to back up on this horse. I reckon needed the run first up. Race 5, number 6 at Randwick, Schwartz. Some good horses, Osmosis, and that going around in that race. But at about $5, I reckon this horse has got a heap of ability, and I reckon is going to be very, very hard to beat. And then a bit of value. I've gone to Bendigo. It's a big day, of course, Saturday racing at Bendigo. Race 7, horse 10, Mowdown. From the Charlotte Littlefield stable, Colin and Janice McKenna colours again, but I reckon this horse got a heap of ability. Market's opened up at about $18, already into $12, boys. So a little bit of a money trail happening there, and it's got a tricky barrier. I think it's got barrier 16 or something, but I don't think it'll matter because it'll get back and charge through the line. So they are my bets over the weekend. Hey, listen, it is going to be a fantastic weekend of racing. Of course, last weekend was sensational. This weekend will be absolutely brilliant again, and look forward to hopefully tipping a few of our viewers into some winners, boys. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
You guys have a great week, and we will catch up next week. Fantastic stuff. Download the Palmer Bet app. Get involved. It's really simple. And as we always say, think about what you're really gambling with. That is the key message. Boys, talk next week.
Good luck.
See you guys. Bye.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.